folks. This is Brother Yusuf Wiley. I want to talk about the prison within. And, the prison within is something that, we've heard this term used before in many different ways. And I actually want to talk about this prison within on a couple of levels, in particularly. One, the prison within for those that's formerly incarcerated, that prison that still remains inside them once they come home. But the second one is those that hasn't been to prison, that's never been incarcerated, but yet they have a prison. They're essentially in prison in their own minds, in their own hearts, in their own and souls. So I want to address this, and I want to start by saying, when we look at the first one, the prison within, as it relates to individuals that's been to prison or jail, um, it's almost some of the same. You see some of the same symptoms, and these symptoms are anything from this inability to adapt, the inability to adapt to change, the changes that are taking place in society, the changes that are taking place in modernity, in this modern world of technology advances and so forth and so on. Just that ability to really adapt and learn, to continue to learn and grow. And oftentimes what it does is, we had a group recently, and many of our guys that's in our programs are older gentlemen that served anywhere between 25 years to 30 years in prison, and in some cases even more than that. So you can try to imagine that the time that they've been away, how much has changed in society. Um, just the simple use of a phone, a cell phone, or a computer, for that matter, is quite challenging, and it brings about a lot of anxiety. And then we look at the pain, the trauma that many of these individuals has never addressed before they were incarcerated. So, the things that perhaps led them to prison in the first place, the various traumas and the various, hardships that they were experiencing prior to their incarceration. We talking about individuals that went to prison in the 70s, right? People that went to prison in the 70s, 76, 77, 78, 79, and early 80s. And they just recently been released from prison. So just imagine that mindset, that person, that you're dealing with. How do you get this person back reintegrated into the community? How do you reintegrate someone like this back into the community that has been gone for such a long time, for a very long time? And unfortunately, the communities are really ignorant about this, and they're really blind to what is happening around us. Right now, California has probably one of the highest release um, percentages right now for folks that's been in prison for long periods of time, and a lot of this is due to the change in government under Governor, our current governor, Jerry Brown, and bless his soul for letting so many lifers out of prison. Now, these people that are being released, again, we're talking about human beings that's being released from prison after serving 20 something years, even myself serving 21, 22 years, and being away from the community for that long of a period. One of the things that I did initially, one of the first things that I asked my father when I came home from prison was for a computer. I knew, and the reason that I asked this is because during the time that I was in prison, my sister, Donna, she constantly was in communication with me, and she would always tell me when I was on the phone with her, "You better learn that technology, brother. You better learn the technology. Computers is taking over. I'm trying to get your nieces and nephews to get on these computers, get this computer knowledge," and that was literally put in my head. very at the very beginning of my incarceration. So I was released with the mindset that I have to learn this world. And think about it, everything from the car that you drive, the new cars, to machines, vending machines, everything is connected to this technology. Everything is connected to computers. This technology, understanding it, and this is the world that we're in today. And if we refuse, oh, I ain't with that stuff, I don't want that, I don't want to, I don't want a LinkedIn profile, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want to use this, I don't want to be able to, I just want to walk in a business establishment and drop my resume, and those days is over with, literally. And the prison within that many are going through, they're trapped. They literally don't want to leave that space. They still want to get up in the morning and walk the yard, so to speak. They want to literally have a limited scope of access points whereby they go out and venture and seek new things, new opportunities, new things that are on the horizon, right? So they remain trapped in their own thinking, in their own mind, and this is the prison within that causes people to never grow. And many of them as a result of the reality of their condition, they've chosen to stay away from learning once they get out, and they become recipients of the social system, or the Social Security system, and they collect Social Security now. And they figure, I'm old now. I'm out of prison, and that's hopelessness begins to set in. And they say, I'm not, I'm done. I'm done, and this is it. I'm gonna collect my Social Security and let the state take care of me. I'm on parole, and it's really a bad state. And we don't want too many of our guys getting out with this state. Now I want to turn to the community on the outside, the community that's never been to prison, and I have to really highlight our communities, the disenfranchised communities, the African American communities. When I go in the community today and I see communities once pretty much owned by African Americans and some Latinos, now I'm seeing literally being overrun and taken over by the Caucasian, by the white community again. They're actually coming back. So they're coming back from the hills, where the fires are and things like that. And they're coming back, and they want these communities, and they want to be back in these communities. And this is where gentrification sets in. Now, unfortunately, the thing about gentrification is that, when they, a home where I know someone's paying no more than $1,200 rent, the house next door that just was recently renovated is going for $800,000. So when you have is a situation like this, is that you see gentrification taking place, and when gentrification happens, we know who's coming next and who's going to be able to afford homes like this. It's not going to be us. But why is that the case? So part of it is because we've chosen to remain in the community. We chose not to venture outside of the community. We've chosen not to seek higher learning. We chose not to explore, to go outside the borders of our neighborhoods, to learn, to grow, to gain information, to investigate. And this is why we're where we are. We literally trapped. We're in this prison of our own mind, of our own community, where there's nothing outside of it. We can't grow outside of this community. So in some cases, we know that it's because maybe we can't afford college, maybe we can't afford higher learning, but there's other ways that, if we go after it, if we're really go-getters and we're going after it, we can gain it. We can become entrepreneurs. We can become. There's a lot of other things that we can do to remain owners of our homes, to become new owners of new homes. But we're not doing it because we're really literally stuck in our community where we are, not trying to gain anything that's going to take us to that next level. So we're quite comfortable sitting in front of the television, watching TV programs, spending all our days and time on social media. Um, no learning, no reading, no. I mean, we literally have to get out of this state, and it is a prison. It is a prison. You tell somebody, we're going to another country, or we're going to visit Jamaica, or we're going to visit Africa, or we're going to visit France. They look at you like, first of all, I can't afford it. Two, I don't. What's over there? I don't. I don't. I'm not interested in leaving this country or my community, let alone this country. So all of that points to a state, a condition. When I hear people talk like this, it all points to this state, this imprisonment. I don't want to adventure. I don't want to go outside of what's around me, my immediate surroundings. They get spooked. So when you do leave, you don't know what to do. When you do go outside of your community, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to react. You don't know how to even communicate. We don't even know how to engage other peoples in the world. So of course we're gonna stay relegated to our own corners and not venture out. So this is this prison. So you have these, and unfortunately, the vast majority of people that are experiencing this is the African American community. Um, and my hat's off to the Mexican American community, because I see growth. I see them taking off, and I'm not to say that there aren't pockets of African American communities that are waking up and realizing, we need to get to the finish line. But there's a large community of African Americans that are totally sunk in their own, self pity and not wanting to get out of the state and condition that they're in. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So we can cry and complain about gentrification, but what are we doing to be self-sufficient? What are we doing to be independent? What are we doing to be entrepreneurs, business owners, businessmen, businesswomen? What are we doing to reclaim our communities? What are we doing to build up our communities, build men, build women? What are we doing to make education more accessible for our youth? What are we doing to try to intervene when our young people decide they want to get involved in drugs and alcohol and gangs and things of this sort? What are we doing? What are we doing, literally, individually as a community and collectively as a community? What are we doing to turn this around? What are we doing to try to regain something of dignity as a people? What are we doing? So my thoughts are, until we get out of this prison that we're in, we're going to remain in this state. We're going to remain relegated to pockets in the community. And eventually, once gentrification cross our door, we're leaving too. It's time to go. We can't afford it anymore. You can't live here. And then we'll be all out of our spot, all looking at each other with self-pity, wondering what happened and what went wrong. It's a sad state, and, I'm only here to say that, look, we can do it. We can make it happen. But it's up to you to get on board and support the movement. And this is why I do it through Timeless Group Incorporated. Peace.